Hey everybody, good morning. Hopefully my sound is okay. I've switched to a new microphone, I think. Let me actually check that yep, it's on a new microphone, so hopefully the audio is doing well. Um, I think I had this going last week, but I have no idea if it actually defaulted to the blue mic. Plus my blue mic is old. I've had it since my old podcast, Tech Hijack. So um, that's something that maybe you didn't know about me. Um, I used to have a podcast called Tech Hijack, where me and a lot of I'm about to really date myself here, a lot of my Web 2.0 friends would get together like Friday, Saturday nights and just talk about different things going on in the tech world. Uh, so this must have been about 2007, 2006, 2007. And because this was like the dawn of Twitter, Jaiku, Pounce, MySpace was still around. Hi Fi, Friendster, um, Foursquare, Growler. Gosh, like so many social media platforms. Ustream, we would get on Ustream all the time and broadcast. I don't even know if Ustream is still around. But we would get together and we just talk about technology and like just so much stuff was happening in tech back then. Um, the iPhone was brand new. Um, Android had just come into the market as well with the G1. So it's just every weekend, and we would sometimes have like our first episode lasted 4 or 5 hours. Um, it was insane, and most of our episodes were probably about 2 hours long. And I never thought anything would come up. I'm like, oh, it's just a bunch of friends. We're having a podcast. This is fun. And we actually made some really decent money. I mean, I shouldn't say we. I made some pretty decent money. Not nothing like life changing. Nothing that's like, oh, this is paying the bills. But because obviously you had to have sponsors to do that, and some of the sponsors were very much like, oh, well, this is how we're going to do things, and this is what's going to happen. So we take a little bit of that money and start buying, or I would take it and start buying better equipment for doing things, because everyone would record individually, send me everything, and then I would have to edit it all together. So yeah, it kept me busy. It was fun though. I enjoyed doing it. I stopped doing it because ended up working an overnight job, and by the time it came to like Friday night, I was trying to get back to a normal sleep schedule. So I was normally dead tired. I get off Friday morning because I'd work Thursdays. Thursday overnight into Friday morning. And I would stay up all day Friday so I could get back on the day schedule. And that's what ended up screwing up the podcast. But when I left, we had a little over 100,000 subscribers. So, like, we were doing pretty good. I would say my biggest disappointment was GoDaddy as a sponsorship. They still owe me money. Um, but there's, at this point, nothing I can do about that. It was over 14 years ago now, but I'm still a little salty about that. But it's the weekend. We're having our coffee. I've got my new Good Pals mug. My with some. I think I've got a morning blend in here today. I can't use my right arm very well today because I was right back at the gym. So my body's all sorts of sore. I didn't even do that much. So that's even worse because I was off expecting to be as sore as I was. I did some overhead shoulder presses with some dumbbells. I did get pretty heavy, so I do realize I would use my triceps, but it just doesn't feel like I did a lot. Like the gym was packed. You would have thought this was like the day after New Year's. The gym was packed. So I had to like weasel my way into things that I could get to, and then as soon as I get up, someone would take it over. So like I didn't get to do anything that I would have wanted to do for my workout. In fact, I went to a machine and for cables and was doing some chest work, upper chest work. Was able to do it while I was doing that and lateral raises on it. Did that for one set, and as soon as I let go of the handle, an old man came shuffling over and grabbed one of the cables and took my attachment off and put a different attachment on it. I was so angry. So there's that. But this isn't Tech Hijack. This isn't Corey Works Out talk. This is Coffee and Magic. And what is going on with Magic this week? A big thing is, well, I mean, for me, a big thing is Illusionist now stocks the Peaksmith 3. Great little device. With my kind of getting into the app space a little bit more, is going to come in really handy for some stuff. So, of course, I ordered it because I'm a sucker for punishment. But I'm super pumped. Also, I had to create a new Illusionist account because because of they use Shopify. And I updated my email in Shopify, so I have 2 emails. Well, Shopify took that as, oh, well, you're not ordering under your old account. Same with Illusionist, even though I was logged into my account. So they started putting stuff under a different email address. So, yay. That's the part of technology that really bugs me today. But again, not a tech hijack. We're talking Magic. And honestly, not a whole lot is going on in the Magic world this week. What has been released? Vanishing Ink has some close-up blinking rings for $100. Free beer, which looks like it uses poker chips. It's a powerful mentalism routine from Alan Wong. Some Jeff Bride manipulation coins. Endless by Inaki Zabaleta. I'm probably butchering that. I apologize if anyone knows Inaki. I'm probably saying the first name wrong too. Again, I apologize. This is a wildly unique and exciting visual card, magic opener, and closure packed into one amazing effect. Heads and tails prediction. 3 envelopes, however you want to say that. Twinkle, control light and shadow with an amazing reveal using a flashlight of a phone. Spin Flux, calm your mind, reduce stress, and improve focus. So it looks like that's more of these spin fluxes that they have. They have 3 different ones on Vanishing Inks. Looks like they're more of like a fidget toy. And then there's this whole like series that are out there from Ian Kendall. I don't know who Ian Kendall is. I've never heard of Ian Kendall. So I might check out these trailers here in a bit, but I'm a little worried to play anything because, like, since I got those copyright strikes against me, for one for playing Minecraft and one for playing Shrapnel on here. I'm still getting used to the new setup. I've got OBS running over here. I've got my browser in front of me. But this would actually be something to talk about. So in the Magic Mastery discussion group the other day, I posed this question: what is your favorite count when it comes to cards? And the whole idea was, if you were if you were to sit down and say, I'm going to create a trick today, but it has to have this count, like, which count is it? Like, if you're to sit there and like, I really want to create an effect with my favorite count, and not surprisingly, Elmsley count came out pretty high on that list. A lot of people, I mean, I love the Elmsley count myself. I think it makes a great display. It's very versatile, but I'm also a huge fan of the Gemini count. And I think there's a lot, I think the surface has only been scratched on it for different effects. Because I think a lot of people just don't like it. I think people don't feel comfortable with it. We get so in the habit of like, it's the same with the Jordan count. Like, you don't see the Jordan count used hardly at all. When I do an Elmsley display for twisting the aces, like, because you do the twist to get the change to happen. So I do the first count and show that it's like, if I don't do it, the ace isn't turned over. If I just snap and I go into a Jordan count, the ace still doesn't turn over. I have to actually do the magic move, and then the ace turns over. But people don't like the Jordan count either. It's a little finicky, but it's all about one, practice and getting away from this fingertip display that everyone teaches you. And that's a big gripe with me with counts with like fingertip displays. Because most times that fingertip display is not a necessary display. I think when these counts were created, you had a bunch of people who couldn't do them of the right way. Well, I don't want to say the right way, but they found it easier to do it at the fingertips than to make it look more natural. Which is actually the first episode of Magic in the Moment podcast, as well as being more natural with your magic. And I do talk a lot about like palming when it comes to palming, and not looking like people just having really stiff hands, as opposed to moving the card around or moving the coin around into different positions to maintain a more natural look. And so that was like the first episode. These episodes are only going to be like 6 minutes long. They're not going to be super crazy. I don't want to exceed 10 because they're really just going to be like little tips, little things to hopefully help improve your magic. What else has been going on? Stephen Bridges in the Magic Master group actually posed a really good question. Kind of piggybacking off my count, because packet tricks use a lot of different counts, was what's your favorite packet trick? And I have one of my favorites is Pickpocket by David Acker. I don't think a lot of people do it. I've not ever seen anyone do it, actually. And I should find my cards and find the instructions. I think my instructions for it, so we're in a pile over here. But it's such a nice little trick. And it was put out like in the 80s, I think, maybe 90s, but it's an old trick. But you have these playing cards that you have stickers of quarters of U.S. quarters on these cards, and one by one the quarters disappear, and then you can show them all four on one card, and for a kicker, and then you can make those four completely disappear, like reach in your pocket and pull out the quarters if you want to. But for a kicker, what's in the book is to take that card above a spectator's hand and snap it, and the quarters drop into their hand, and then you show the card is blank. And it's such a good trick. It's because it's a card trick, but it's not like your normal card trick. You're not having to track anything. But another one of my favorite packet tricks comes from The Secrets of Bro Hammond. And it's Brother John effect, called the Pinochle trick. and you can just have it set up on the top of your deck and go at it. So I love that one. There's a couple in Brother John's book that are just like, because he, I'm pretty sure he was the one that created the Gemini count. I might be wrong on that, but I think he was the creator of the Gemini count. But he uses it so much in his magic, and I think that's what's really drawn me to that book. One of my favorite tricks out of that book is Knavish Deuces. And it's a follow the leader kind of effect if you're not familiar with it. Where you put down a red 4 and a black 4, and then you show that you have 4 red 2s and 4 black 2s, and you move them around, you mix them up, and they keep separating out. And then for a kicker in the middle of it, or close to the, well, I guess technically close to the end, there's a line like, oh, well, the deuces really are quite knavish, and then they turn into all the jacks. They turn into 8 jacks, 4 black, 4 red, and then they turn back into all twos again at the very end of the trick. And it's long. A lot of people don't like it because it's long, but I think for a table set, it works out really well, especially if you're looking to fill in that time. Now, the other weird thing about it is you can either introduce it as a packet trick, or you can bring it out as a off the top of your deck. And if you bring it off your deck, you have to explain how you get those other cards out, because you got a lot of cards. So for that, honestly, that becomes a little tricky unless you want to plant a bunch of jokers in your deck and then take out all the jokers. Like, oh crap, I forgot I've got all these duplicate cards, and take them out. Or just get rid of the deck and say, oh, even if it is all just regular, like, oh, well, because I don't have, this has got duplicates and I don't want to use this, and get rid of it and bring out a different deck. But, or you just have it as a packet trick, where it's just in its own little wallet, and that's just how it works. But I do love Knavish Deuces. Like I said, I know a lot of people crap on it. I think it's because it just is such a long trick. And maybe people don't like the fact that you're showing like a total of 8 2s. And then a total of 8 jacks, because there's only 4 of each of those in the deck. And I don't know. But it is what it is. I should actually reread that book. I pulled it out the other day to look at the Pinochle trick for answering Stephen Bridges' question. But then I put it back away. I should totally break that back out and see if there's anything else that I want to learn. Because, as I've said a lot in the past, there is, with a book, like, you may pass over a trick, say, oh, that's not for me, I don't like that, and then revisit it in 5, 10, 15 years, and goes like, why did I pass up this beautiful effect? And it's all because it doesn't fit into your style at that moment when you first read it. It might not fit into your skill set, so you see, words like, oh, I can't do that. Or you see something else and it's like, oh, no. Or it's just, you just don't want to do it. Like, for me, like, a big thing to turn off for me, and I don't see it ever changing, but it might, is tricks that use 2 decks of cards. I'm not a fan of tricks that use 2 decks. For me, it's just, it doesn't make sense to me. And I don't like to carry more than what I need to carry when doing anything. So even if I'm going and doing like a private thing, I don't want to have a bunch of decks. I don't want to do deck switches. I don't want to have a bunch of decks. I don't want to have one set up and one regular. Like, I don't want to deal with that. So I just don't do them. I just think it's too much to worry about. And I know there's some great tricks out there that use 2 decks. It's kind of like for me when I'm looking through a book, if it's a gambling effect, most, like 99% of the time I'll read through it and see what it says, but 99% of the time I'm going to skip that trick. I don't want to do gambling demos. if I was going to do like gambling tricks, then I would be working hardcore on learning how to riffle stack and everything else. And that's just something I, for me, riffle stacking, while it would be really cool to learn, I feel like I'd need to sit down with someone like a Darwin Ortiz or a Jason Ladany, just sit there and hammer it out all day for a few days, just to feel comfortable enough to be able to go forward on my own. Like what Jason Ladany does, phenomenal, amazing. But it's not something that's in my scope, or two, something that I really want to do. And again, if I'm doing gambling tricks, I'm also going to want to be like demonstrate like shuffle tracking and stacking and stuff like that, because I might as well just do a whole gambling set. That's just my opinion, though. But that's kind of the reasons why, like with books, when you first read them, though, like you look and like, oh, okay, it's like, oh, I don't like this, and then you come back here, it's like, oh, this is such a great trick. I do that all the time. I'll look at something and I'm like, why did I not like this? And I'll read through the whole thing, and like I either won't see why I didn't like it, or I'll see it's like, oh, back then, like I wasn't a big fan of this kind of thing here or whatever, and now I am. So that's just kind of my thoughts. I love books for that, because for me, like if I get a book, if I find one trick that I want to do, that book is a win for me, because I know that I'm going to revisit it in a few years, and I'm going to get something else or a couple more things out of it. Where when you buy a single trick, you don't know what you're going to get. That is one thing where I do like that, because, well, before I go on to this next thing, when I say you don't know what you're going to get, like you're going to get, you know what the trick looks like, but then when you get it, you're like, oh, that's, like you find out like maybe it's a crazy hookup or a crazy setup that you weren't expecting, and like, oh, I don't want to do that. And you might immediately start thinking like, how can I simplify this to make it work? But most people are going to get in looking like, oh, it's like, I don't want to mess with this, and they throw it in the corner. Done. But that's kind of where, like, today, where we're seeing more things that are more project based, where you're getting, this thing here, but you're also getting 5 ways, 10 ways of presenting it. I think that's why they're doing so well, because like Visible, you're getting 2 invisible decks. At the end of the day, that's what you're getting. You're getting 2 invisible decks. But you're getting a long instructional video that's showing you a whole bunch of different ways of presenting that. Not using it as a traditional invisible deck, but using it in different ways to do magic. Where you can sit there and be like, and hopefully have something you take away. I've always hated the invisible deck. Always. And I would use it for different things. Like Jeff Azell has a trick where you take a card selected, is placed back in, and then the whole deck like turns over. And I've always used it in a way of making like the whole deck turns over and you go through and the card's completely gone. And then you can snap your finger, spread it again, and the card shows again. It's essentially something that's kind of in the Visible Project. But I've never liked using an invisible deck like an invisible deck. I know it's a great trick, and people get a lot out of it. It's just, it's one of those things that's not for me. It's not for my style. It's not for something it's not something I like. So these projects pieces, and a lot of them have been from Craig Petty. But they are giving people a lot more to work with, where you're not just getting a trick and moving on. You're getting what could essentially be a single trick, and then you're seeing a bunch of different ways of doing it, which has been my goal with my new release of Hallucinations, which it's actually gonna have a different title. I don't even remember what I'm calling it at this point, but I think I'm calling it's False Recollections that I'm calling it. But I'm gonna have like the base effect, but I'm gonna have different ways of presenting it that may fit more of what people want, instead of just the base way of doing it. Like I've got a few different methods of making the deck blink afterwards, and I'm actually thinking about sending it over to Craig Petty and saying, hey, I'm not looking for a review, just hoping maybe you might have an idea of something else that we can do with this. Because at the end of the day, I may not like Craig. I've said it before. I don't think we would ever get along very well. We might have a bond over wrestling or something that we get along with. Or after dealing with him, like I'm just like, okay, he's a nice guy. Like I get it, but you never know how it's going to be when you meet people. But it has been something where, like, you can't deny the fact that he is creative. And even some of his things, you look, it's like, oh, well, that's kind of silly. But at the end of the day, he is a creative type. Same, and like Lloyd Barnes. Lloyd Barnes is super creative. And, like, these are two guys that I thought, like, oh, maybe I should reach out to them. It's like, hey, what else do you think? Like, this is something I wanted to put out on my own, because I don't think it'll fit with a Magic dealer. I've already released it through a Magic dealer before. They went and released something different than what I approached them with. But what other things do you think you can do with this effect? Or with this basic effect? Like, how would you make it a little bit different? Or is this the only thing that can really be done? So I've thought about it. I don't know how responsive either one of them are. I've reached out to Craig in the past and never got a response from him through his email, so I have no idea how they are. And I'm sure they get over inundated with DMs on Instagram and everything, but I have been thinking about just pitching it off to, like, finding a couple creative types and saying, hey, this is what I've got, this is what I want to do. What do you think? I do get worried about sending it to some people, just because, like, are they going to try to take this? And I've got a few effects that I would love to send over to Lloyd and just get kind of his input, or again, Craig, or some, like, a person who's out there working all the time. It's like, hey, can I get your input on this? This is kind of something I've been playing with. I've got an EDC item that I've been playing with for almost a year now, and the other day I was even thinking about it. I'm like, oh, well, this is kind of how I can improve it. So that's something I'm going to be hopefully working on again soon, because it might be something I just say, hey, here's this thing, have at it, everybody. Maybe it'll be a Magic in the Moment exclusive item that I release, because I do like to share some of my old published work in chats. I think I put something in. I know I've put my gum effect in Magic Mastery for everybody. What did I put in Magic in the Moment? I'm positive I shared just like one of the first. Oh, I shared my Pez trick with Magic in the Moment. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, I mean, that is life in the Magic world this week. I've been rambling on, but that's kind of what this is for just kind of like random odds and ends of Magic. Just the other day, I did upload my Quantum Deck review. Feel free to go out there and watch the video, leave a comment. It's not performing horrible, but it's not performing well. And that's fine. Like, I don't care kind of really where anything is. Like, I'm not sharing this channel outside really of Magic groups, because I'm trying to keep, the lay audience at a minimum. I do have a list on my Facebook, which is only magicians, that I've been thinking about starting to share to. But yeah, I'm only sharing this like in Magic Groups' page, or my this YouTube channel. So I'm hoping like some tags will get people into the reviews, and some of the videos, and get them to eventually subscribe to the page. And also people just sharing with their other magician friends if they find that they like the videos. Because I would like to do a lot more. I would like to eventually get into some kind of giveaway, if I can. But right now, I'm just doing this because I enjoy making the videos, and it gives me an outlet to make some videos out there. So, anyways, I think I'm going to call it good there. We've been going for about a little over 30 minutes. So I'm going to call this good for today. I want to thank you for watching and tuning in to the live. If you were here, if you're catching this on the replay, thank you again. Make sure to check out the Discord. You can see this on the video, or you can go to any of the other videos and put that in and join the Discord. It's free. Pretty open. I do have some locked things, but most people I've been able to identify as magicians pretty quickly. So I unlock people fairly quickly. And let's just get some conversation going over there. Also, feel free to look up Magic in the Moment on Facebook. That is the Facebook group that I run. Again, doesn't have a whole lot of stuff going on. I need to be more involved in it, but I keep hoping that like the community people in the community will start joining in. It's just not working with my however many members I have. But yeah, that's all I have. Again, thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you. We'll catch you next week. Peace.